Alright, this is our motorcycle Vietnam don'ts video.
Don'ts.
Don'ts.
Do nots.
This is our please try to avoid this. Don't do these things on your Vietnam journey.
Do not.
Number 1, don't be hasty when looking to rent or purchase a motorbike or motorcycle.
Yes. What that means is just because you found the coolest looking bike doesn't always mean that it's necessarily the safest bike
Or the most reliable bike.
or the most reliable bike. You can always test every bike. You don't have to just point at it and then that's your bike. You can. I've never been to a shop where they won't let you test the bike. And when you're testing the bike, you should be testing the brakes, testing the throttle, make sure it doesn't stick, testing the suspension, give it some, what do you call that?
I don't know, just give it some oomph.
Give it some oomph. Test
Yeah.
everything.
Just make sure the suspension feels right.
Yeah. Make sure the steering feels right.
Mm-hmm. Also, make sure the gears, because you want to do, when you motorcycle through from south to north or north to south, you want to get a geared bike, whether it's a semi-automatic or a manual.
Yep.
You want to make sure those gears shift properly. And so, like Brian, like you said, you just want to take it on a good, extensive test run.
Yeah.
And then also, you want to understand, you want to figure out beforehand if you want to buy a bike for the trip and then sell it afterwards, or if you want to rent a bike.
If you're there for the month, the full month-long visa, the 1 month is the most common, then I would recommend buying a bike because what did you spend, like 250, 300 US dollars?
$250 for the bike, and then I sold it. I was very hasty selling the bike, and I sold it for $100.
That's hasty.
Yeah.
But in a lot of situations, you can purchase a bike from another backpacker, another traveler for between 150 to 300 US dollars, depending on what bike and depending what season you're there. And then at the end of your month, when you get to the big city of either Hanoi in the north or Saigon in the south, at the end of the month, at the end of Vietnam, you sell your bike to the next traveler for pretty much the same price, maybe $10, $20, $30 cheaper. If you're renting a bike every single day, it is cheap, but I think it would be a better option to just purchase your own bike.
Yeah. And other people might, say differently. One of my travel buddies, he rented a bike, and his bike never broke down, and he had an insurance policy on it, and it was damn near a new bike. And I think they have like a guarantee that it won't break down. And say if you do rent a bike in the north, larger bike shop rentals will have shops in major cities. So say, you're not going to do the full trip from Saigon to Hanoi or vice versa, and you stop in the middle. You can just drop your bike off there at one of the shops, and that'll be it. A couple popular bike shops, rental shops, are Ticket Motorcycles and Dragon Rides. Those are the two main, and they have a big selection of bikes as well. So if you know a specific bike that you want, I would say go to those two websites, and they're likely going to be in very good condition. But you got to worry about keeping those bikes safe and pristine. But if you buy a bike, that's your bike.
That's your bike.
That's your bike.
You can paint it.
Yeah, you can paint it. If you damage it, all you gotta do is take it to a mechanic, and you don't have to worry about paying out some damage claim on it. It's your bike. So there's pros and cons. Just figure out what you want to do. So
yeah. I rented a bike, but I wish I had bought my own. Just for the reasons we stated. If you buy it, it's your bike. You can do whatever you want to it. That's it. If you rent it, take care of it. Number 2, do not drive at night.
Driving at night is a nightmare in Vietnam. Why? Because it's very low visibility. not because it's just night and it's hard to see at night, but because motorbikes in Vietnam do not have the best headlights.
Nope. You'll be lucky if you're renting and you get a bike that has functional headlights or a functional speedometer.
Or even brake lights, for that matter.
Even brake lights. Chances are it's going to be one of the sketchiest bikes you've ever been on.
Yeah.
If you've never been on a bike, then, well,
Yeah.
it's a good first bike to be on.
And it might not just be your bike that has faulty or poor lighting. Many other bikes in Vietnam do not have great headlights
Yeah.
or blinkers
Yeah.
or brake lights. So it's pretty much majority of the country. A lot of those bikes just have terrible lighting on their bikes.
It's distracting sometimes too at night because a lot of these vehicles, there's really no regulation with what kind or how many lights you can have on your car or truck. So you can have trucks on the freeway that are just covered in Christmas lights or strobe lights, and they're just flashing like crazy. And it gets pretty distracting sometimes.
And then you have some motorbike coming towards you, and it's just one tiny little dim light. You don't know what it even is.
That's the thing too. Is just because you're in your lane doesn't mean you're safe. Because anywhere in Asia, cars are always going to be going into the other lane, right into you.
The oncoming traffic. Yeah.
So at nighttime, and if they don't have lights that are functional, that could be pretty bad.
It can get pretty hairy.
Yeah.
The other thing too, at night, this is true in any country, but at night, that's when people start drinking.
Yep.
And you do not want to be on the road with, drunk drivers.
Right. Driving semi-trucks.
Driving semi-trucks, driving motorbikes, whether it's other travelers, other backpackers, expats, locals, whatever.
Right.
At night, that's when people start drinking and driving drunk, and you do not want to be on the road when all that happens.
So when you plan your day in the morning, when you plan your route for the day and your timing for the day, try to always finish and get to where you want to be before sunset.
Exactly. I would say the most dangerous points of my Vietnam motorcycle journey were at night.
Easily.
Partially because some of the other drivers were driving erratically. I was also very fatigued. There were a few days where we were on the road way too long and we were trying to get to a certain destination, and it took longer.
6, 7, 8 hour days on the road.
Yeah, you do not want to be on the road that long, because then it just takes it out of you. The heat, the wind, the elements, you just get very tired very quickly. So try to be off the road by sunset.
By sunset.
Yeah.
Well, the lighting behind us is getting a little bit harsh, so
Think we should go to the pool and the bar?
I think we should move down there.
Alright.
Whoa!
And we're here by the pool and Apaka Bar.
And we have beers now.
We have beer. Where are we at? Number 4?
Number 3.
Number 3. Don't drive in heavy rain. Why don't we want to drive in heavy rain?
Yeah, heavy rain, that's something to be cautious of. When you're on a motorbike and you're driving through Vietnam in heavy rain, you're guaranteed to hit some storms in your trip, and you're going to hit some heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and a lot of hail. And when you're driving in rain like that, the visibility gets really poor really quick.
Not only with visibility, but road conditions just take a nosedive.
Yes.
On paved cement roads, the road will get oily, and when you start taking those rough, sharp turns, your back tire might slip out.
Yep.
If you start hitting the brake too hard, you might fishtail, and if you hit the front brake, you're probably going to fall.
Yeah. A lot of accidents that I saw also were rain related and always from hitting that front brake.
Mm-hmm.
So combine front brake with the rain, it's not going to be good.
Yeah. And then also, it does not matter how good of a motorcyclist you are. If you're driving on unpaved roads in the rain, there's a very good chance you're going to lay down your bike.
Yeah.
On muddy roads in Vietnam, it doesn't matter how skilled you are. It is so slippery that you're gonna lay it down because the bike's there. They don't really have the tires that are made for
That's another
mud.
thing. Tread on the tires. You're lucky if you get a tire with some tread on it.
Yep.
So chances are your headlights aren't going to work, your speedometer is not going to work, you're going to have zero tread on your tires, but somehow we made it out alive.
Yeah. That is one thing. Definitely when you rent a bike or buy a bike, look at the tire tread.
Yep. Number 4, don't get complacent with your driving skills.
Why don't you want to get complacent?
Man, no matter how good of a driver you are or how much experience you have, accidents happen when you become complacent. That's whether it's being on a motorbike or anything else in life. As soon as you let your guard down and you start to get comfortable and you start to care less and you start to be less cautious, that's when the accidents will start to happen.
Yep. Pretty much when you start driving more offensively than defensively, that's when the risk of an accident goes up.
Yep.
When you start becoming less aware of your surroundings because you think, oh, I got this, I can do this, that's when the road will check you.
Yeah.
And that has happened many times. It's hard not to get a little complacent because you're driving every single day.
Yep. Especially when there's a girl that you need to impress.
Exactly.
Look how fast I can go.
Mm-hmm.
Look how quickly I can take this turn.
But man, there was some days where I got checked by the road, and when I mean getting checked, I mean I ran into a situation where I almost died.
And that's it.
I wasn't maybe being cautious enough, or I wasn't aware of my surroundings.
Yep.
And there were a few life-threatening situations while I was driving Vietnam, and I think those could have been easily avoided if I was just a little bit more aware of my surroundings.
Yeah, getting complacent. I learned how to drive a motorbike for the first time in Saigon. I had never ridden before. And luckily I was with a couple people from the Netherlands and a girl from the UK. And the people from the Netherlands, they actually had motorcycle licenses. They actually drove motorcycles in the real world back home in the Netherlands. And so they were the ones who taught me. And of course, since they've been driving for so long, you know, some days they don't wear helmets. Some days they stand up while they're driving the bike.
Fun.
So of course, what do I want to do? I want to not wear a helmet and I want to stand up while riding a bike. Well,
you want to look cool, right?
You want to look
Without a
cool.
helmet.
Yeah, and you want the girls to see you? Well, at the end of the day, it's really stupid because you're in Vietnam. There is no real health care. There's no ambulance that's going to get you. If you get to the hospital, it's a little different than back home.
Yeah.
So I think just mitigate those risks and don't try to be cool and just remember to be cautious because you're on a motorcycle in Vietnam.
Yeah. Number five is don't speed.
Don't speed. What does that mean? How fast is speeding?
Speed kills. How fast is speeding? I would say, man, you get over 60, 70 kilometers an hour, you're going pretty fast.
Yeah.
You know, you might not think it's super fast, but when you're on a bike in a country where people drive manically, erratically, you do not want to get in an accident going very fast.
Right. And the thing that we've noticed in Southeast Asia is when you're driving a motorbike and say, for example, you have someone pulling out in front of you, they don't look. It's not like at home where they stop and they look both ways and they wait for traffic to clear. They just go because that's how it works here. And it's your job to watch what's in front of you. It's not their responsibility. It's reversed now. And now it's always your job to watch who's going to pull out in front of you.
Yeah.
And if you're going too fast, and you might not have the time to slam on those brakes.
It seems bizarre that so many people pull out in front of you,
Right.
but it just happens.
It's normal here.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
And when you start getting over 60, 70 kilometers an hour, you know, if you get in an accident, the chance of you becoming deformed or dying is significantly higher.
It is. It is.
And yeah, you don't want your relatives or family to have to fly to Vietnam and bring back your husk of a body.
Yeah, that reminds me too. In a couple of hostels, that I stayed in on the way up north, some hostels had a donation fund for a random backpacker who crashed his bike and now has a severe brain injury, and now it's kind of like dependent on other backpackers to donate towards this fund to raise money. Basically, whether it's a scam or not, we'll never know, but the point of the story is I guarantee it's happened where people have crashed their bikes so hard that they have brain injuries, and that's not to scare you, but it's to make you pay attention and to make you cognizant and aware that it's your responsibility to be driving safely. And whether it's drinking and driving or speeding, or whether you're the person who loves that front brake.
God, the temptation is there for all of those three,
Yeah.
but just don't do.
Don't do it.
And I guess one last thing. Say if you do get in a little accident, a little fender bender, and you scrape yourself up, but nothing too serious, always try to have some medical supplies.
Yep.
I traveled with a buddy, and he had an extensive amount of medical supplies in his bag, and he called it his. He kept all the supplies in one pouch of his bag, and he called it his bad day pouch.
Bad day pouch.
Yeah.
Don't open that.
No. But yeah, just keep antibacterial.
Gauze.
Yes, lots of gauze.
Tape
for the gauze.
Tape. Basically, just your average first aid kit. You don't have to be a paramedic. You just need to have some basic wound care knowledge. Watch a couple of YouTube videos. Maybe it'll help. Something on covering a wound. It's not too complicated to cover a wound.
Yep.
But you have to keep it clean.
Big Band-Aids. Get some
Big
Band-Aids.
Big ones.
And not anti-burn cream. Afterburn cream. Whatever cream you put on a burn, buy some of that, because those exhaust burns, man, they suck and they hurt. And you really got to look after them.
Yeah.
All right. And if you are interested in listening to more stories about what it's like to travel Vietnam and motorcycle through Vietnam, listen to my podcast, The Travel is Real. I believe the story with Brock and some more recent episodes with Kenny and Johnny, Justin, and Murray. All those podcast episodes revolve around motorcycling through Vietnam. And there's some doozies of stories. Some good, some bad, all bizarre.
Check them out. Yeah, so we made this video for you guys, not to scare you by any means, but to tell you the truth. And it's not all rainbows, and you have to be prepared, and at the end of the day, just be ready for it. Don't be scared. You have to be confident, but not too confident.
It was an amazing journey, and I'm so glad I did it. But I just wish there was more information out there. Sometimes when you get in these message boards where people ask about questions regarding motorcycling through Vietnam, you can kind of get some assholes, some internet trolls, or just very negative people that say, well, have fun coming home in a body bag.
Yeah,
and
there's no point in saying stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't see, you're just scaring people.
Yeah, we're not here to scare you, we're here to inform you.
Yep, exactly. And if you do it, have fun on your trip, and listen to more episodes on the Travel is Real podcast. Cheers.